Hi everyone, welcome to Watch It Play Table Talk. My name is Rodney Smith. In a recent fundraiser, we gave you the opportunity to donate so that you could choose one of the Table Talk topics. So this week's discussion comes to us courtesy of Nick Cianfrogna, who wants to know, how controlling are we when other fellow gamers mishandle, perhaps are a bit rough with our game components? Nick puts it this way: especially when a game is new. If I'm playing with someone who bends cards excessively, I tend to cringe. Or if they just throw things back in the box or pile things in an illogical way, what do you actually do with that person? How do you deal with them? Do you ask them not to handle the cards so roughly? Do you let it go? Do you buy card sleeves so they stay nice and pristine? This reminds me of a very funny segment on the excellent Dice Tower podcast. It's called Tales of Board Gaming Horror, and they read out these stories written in by listeners to the podcast, usually about some kind of unfortunate mishap during a gaming session, and a lot of these focus in generally on unintentional game component destruction. So this is something that affects us as gamers, and I think it's a neat, lighthearted topic, which is good because we've had a couple of heavier topics lately. Nick, I hear a little bit of myself in you there for sure. When I'm at the gaming table, if someone's being rough with my game components, I do get a little bit tense. Even if it's somebody else's game at the table that we're playing with, or even if it's the person themselves who owns the game, if they're being rough with their own game components, it kind of makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. Now, cards are an easy one to pick on because it's so easy to, to flick them, bend them, whatever. But I have stopped recently sleeving my game cards, and I used to do that pretty frequently. But now, it's just so expensive to try and do it for all the different games. So the thing that I found hardest is watching people shuffle my cards now. It's so easy to scuff them up, but the shuffle move that, you want to watch me go from happy smiles to dread? Do the riffle shuffle. You know this move here where you flick them in, and then you pick them up, and you bend the cards, and then you riffle them together? I don't enjoy seeing that at all. I have reached across the table before and just, please don't do that move with the cards. Thank you. So yes, another maybe less obvious one though is tokens. When you have tokens in a game, I watch people, because people fiddle. I do it as well. But with tokens, if they have a little collection of victory coins, say, they'll be like flicking them, treating them almost like poker chips, which stand up to a lot of manhandling. But tokens have like that cardboard layer in the middle, and then there's like that just light little bit of the graphical element that's stuck on the tops and bottoms. And you riffle with those very much, and they start to peel. I always feel like, is this game going to be more fun to play once you've peeled the tops off of all my tokens? Would you please stop? Inside, that's what I'm feeling. Now, there are some benefits to not being so hung up about how your game components are being treated. First of all, if you're not worrying about it, well, then you're not worrying about it, and that's a better state of mind to be in. Also, these are, at the end of the day, these are just things, and anytime you get too obsessive about a thing, then it's probably not a healthy attachment that you're forming there. I think about, again, we mentioned the Dice Tower there earlier, Tom at the Dice Tower Network, when he does his reviews, he takes the components and he dumps them on the table, literally dumps them there, so they're banging against one another and they're spilling everywhere. It's become a part of his show. If you can do that and not cringe and just laugh and enjoy yourself and not be worrying about getting scuffs on your precious little pieces of cardboard, again, I think that's an admirable approach to have, and probably the healthier one to have. Now, I would like to offer a defense for those of us who are a little more hung up about how our components are being treated. There is a practical side to this as well, especially if you're playing a game that requires some hidden information. If I can look at the cards in your hand and from the backs of them see a crease in it and know which cards you have, or maybe there's tokens face down the table, but some of them are marked on the back because someone's been fiddling with them, well, that's going to break the gameplay. So it's not just because of our anxieties that treating your components well can be important. Now, what do we do about someone at the table who is being a bit rough with components? For myself, I have an internal timer. When I feel like, okay, this person's not just being absent-minded, this is something they're now doing. They're now fiddling persistently for 10 seconds or so with this card or token, and they don't appear to be stopping, I will say something. Usually I'll say something like, Hey, listen, I don't mean to be fussy, but you're sort of bending the cards there. I'm concerned about them getting a crease in it. Just wanted to mention that if you wouldn't mind. So is that awkward? Yes, it's a little bit awkward. But I have to balance that against the awkwardness that I'm feeling as I sit there and watch and suffer in silence as they are potentially doing something destructive to my game components. So, the other thing too here is it helps set expectation. It allows the other person to know what kind of gamer I am. And therefore, if they find that my uptightness around my precious game components just a little bit too much for them, then they can, choose to go and play the next game with somebody else. Because, listen, I think that is one of the benefits about not being uptight about your components as well, is it makes your games that you're playing more inviting to other people. If they have to sit there and worry about, oh, am I holding these cards just right? Is Rodney getting bothered because I'm fiddling with this token? I mean, that puts extra pressure on people at the table. So, but again, that is part of my hang-up. It's part of who I am as a gamer. And so if I can let people know that's who I am as a gamer, it allows me to set the expectations so that I can continue to enjoy my gaming experience, and it gives them the information they need to know so they can continue to enjoy their gaming experience by maybe not playing with me so much anymore. And listen, as much as I love the components for games, and I want them to be maintained so that people, as they play them in the future, can enjoy them as much as the person who first opened the box, the people that you play with are more important. So I think it is important to temper how much anxiety you're feeling around making sure everything stays just perfect and the kind of experience you're creating around the table. And I like to think that I've gotten quite a bit better over time, and that's due in part to games like this one, Risk Legacy. If you're not familiar with this game, this is one where by design you are meant to take a pen and permanently mark on the board. There are stickers that you put on the board and they don't come off. There are pieces that you actually rip and throw out that are in the box. When I first heard about this, I thought, no, there's no way I could ever enjoy doing this. But then when I started to play, it was such a freeing experience to be able to do things to games that I would never have considered doing before because it was part of the game design. And I think that has relaxed me just overall and in general. But what about you? Do you have any particular hang-ups about how game components are treated at the table? Do you have a specific story about a time someone did something destructive enough that it really, really bothered you? I want to hear about that. Listen, if you're watching this and you're thinking, Rodney, this is crazy. These are not museum pieces. Just enjoy your games and don't worry about how the components are treated. I want to hear that as well. Respond in the YouTube comments below. And then in our Table Talk Back episode in a week's time, I'm going to take a few of those comments and we'll just continue this discussion even further. I love getting video responses. Unfortunately, YouTube has disabled the direct video response. But if you upload a video responding to this topic, send me the link at watchitplayed@live.com. I'll point people to your link and I'll also take a few clips from your video and include those in the Table Talk Back episode as well. Before I let you go, I just want to very quickly mention my friend Joel Eddy of Drive-Thru Reviews is holding a Kickstarter right now. At this year's Gen Con 2013, not only did he record overviews and interviews with game designers showing off a variety of different games, but he then edited them and uploaded them while he was at the convention. So this was one of the fastest ways you could really see a lot of informative information about the games being released there. He wants to do more of that, and he wants to be able to do it better. So he's holding a Kickstarter to help that happen. And he's already met his Kickstarter goal. He's heading towards some stretch goals so he can start to improve his equipment as well. As I say, Joel's a friend of mine. I wanted to pass this along to you as well. I really admire his work on reviewing games. If you haven't checked him out, please do. I'll put a link in the description of this video. And if you think he could use your support, then consider donating as well. But until the next episode, thanks for watching.